Morning, guys. Well, I hope you're all well. It's a really, really nice day today here in London. It's pretty cold, and there are some incredible clouds coming in from the southwest. So I'm going to try and rattle through this. I've had it up on my computer for about 3 days now. 2 windows and millions of tabs are open, so I've got them in a sort of order. I'm hoping I can get this one together. This is the second attempt because I couldn't find my lighter in the first attempt and I needed to have a smoke. So yeah, it's a good day. Our Italian friend gave birth to a £8 1 ounce baby boy today and named him Leonardo, and we're all going to go over and see him at some point, see him and his mum. And it's a good day, feeling good. So here's Battersea Arts Centre. And before it was an arts centre, it was a town hall. It was a town hall up until about 1965, when they decided they'd going to build this massive, great, big, horrible hulk in Wandsworth. And I've looked at that as well. I think that's got a bit of an older history than they led on, but that's for another time. So I thought we'd have a look at some other English town halls. Yeah, here's another one. These are all Victorian Town Halls. There's another humongous great town hall. Here's another one. Where's this one? I don't know where that one is, but that's another one. This is another one here. That's in Texas, I think, Houston. And there's no accountability in English government, but that's a town hall. Town halls. Absolutely massively huge. That one. Look at this one. I think this lets you get in a bit closer as well, this one. Look at this. The arches here. Look at this. Yeah. So here's English town halls. So you get the idea. They're all like heavy built, massive, great big Battersea Arts Centre looking sort of monstrosities. There was one here I saw earlier that was some old illustrations of them. English town halls. Yeah. English town halls. So Battersea Arts Centre was an English town hall, and now it's this Battersea Arts Centre. Yeah. This is the guy who was the architect. So he was born in 1855 and he died in 1908, so he wasn't very old. Battersea Arts Centre, 1891. So he wasn't very old when he got all this together. And in fact, he wasn't very long in the business before he was given all of these commissions. I mean, the stuff he did. He developed his practice by entering public competitions for public libraries, hospitals and convalescent homes. Early commissions included the new Baptist Chapel on Northcote Road, Battersea. I know that one as well. 1884 to 5, and I've been going to look at this. Yeah, he did a few around here. A cottage hospital at Whitchurch and the Ellen Badger Hospital in Shipton. See, they all got the same. You see, these have all been done up. He does them up. They're probably given. He did this, Sheffield. Look at that. So this guy was obviously one of the Victorian wunderkinds, being able to. Lancaster, he did the Old Bailey. Yeah, this guy was a super guy. So, and this, our old friend Battersea. Yeah. Now, this used to be next to Battersea Town Hall. Here's Battersea Town Hall, and this is the Shakespeare Theatre. It was demolished in about 1927. And the street that runs down here past Battersea Arts Centre is called Theatre Street, and I think people today think it's called Theatre Street because of the Arts Centre, but it would have been because of the theatre here. So yeah, it was very, very popular. A lot of really well-known people appeared there for the time, like Jeannie MacDonald and all these sorts of like people. Battersea Council bought the bomb damaged site and demolished the theatre in 1957. A modern office block, yeah, horrible office block stands in there. But this is what it was like inside. Look at this. Yeah. And there it is, with Battersea Arts Centre. This is I mean, it just looks like it's all been up and running forever, doesn't it? Come on. And here it is now. Doesn't look any different than it did then, really. I mean, it's just... Okay. This is a pumping station called Abbey Mills. It's absolutely amazing. And how much like Battersea Arts Centre does it look? And also, when I did my walkabout in Crystal Palace, this is Victorian Town Hall. I don't know if anybody remembers me coming to see this one. Same thing. In fact, those pediment things here on the top, those I doubt if you can see with my cursor, are the same as on Battersea Arts Centre. So yeah, so it's one here. Now, Crystal Palace, if you remember, that's the church. See if I can find it for you. Had all these amazing arches in the railway station as well. See all this? We looked at all this in the railway station at Crystal Palace. This could be a massive pumping station, couldn't it? Can you imagine? Okay. And where's the YouTube video? This is great. Here it is. Right, so this is Beehive Mill in Bolton. Now, Miss Havisham sent me a link to these urban collective, urban explorers, and they've demolished it. They've demolished this bloody mill. It's like Grade 2 listed building, demolished. Beehive Mill. I'm really interested in this because I was born in Bolton, and there used to be a cotton mill at the end of our road, and it was closed down, but we used to be able to get in and play in the grounds around the outside, and there was lots and lots of fluff stuck on the ventilators, and we used to pull it all off, and it was like very similar to this to look at. But when he goes in this place, he finds this. I'll make the screen bigger for you. Humongous sort of water tank thing. Here. It's absolutely massive. They don't know what it is, why it's there. It's some sort of cooling system. Yeah. So he has a walk up there, and then when he goes to the other side of it and looks at the architecture of the building, look at this. Right. Look at the height of this. So I'm going to go to where he starts it. There we go. Look at that up there. Look, all the way down here. Look at this shaft. He goes in here. Look. This is supposed to be a cotton mill. That's just incredible. That's just incredible, isn't it? And when they go underneath it, they manage to get underneath. And underneath, I don't know if it's in this one, it's like on bricks, the whole building. A lot of the building seems to be up on bricks. But there's lots and lots and lots of strange things to look at in this. But that shaft, not a cotton mill. These things were all something else before they became this. Victorian pumping stations. Right, this is a Victorian pumping station. These are the pumping stations they used for sewage. There's another one, Victorian pumping station, and for shifting water about. And these are the ones that they've kept going. There's only about 5 or 6 of them. So were town halls pumping stations? I'll show you inside Abbey Mills because it's completely ridiculous. There it is, looking quite a lot like this one here that we saw. I think it looks a lot like the town hall one. This one. I think it looks a lot like this one. And in Crystal Palace, you've got all that stuff at the railway station. It's just the same building, but not done up and not used. Let's keep going. Here's Abbey Mills. So that will be ground level here. And this is what they're saying that they built in the Victorian times. These two as well, these don't exist anymore. Just these bases exist. It looks like a mosque. Look at this. Right, here it is. All this for sewage. Look at the antiquitech on this. Just look at this. Look. No, of course it wasn't all this for sewage. Built in a Greek cross and looking like an Orthodox church, Bazelguette shouldn't get all the credit. It was also designed by Edmund Cooper. And the architect was Charles Driver. Built between 1865 and 1868. 3 years. Let's have a look at our other one, if it's about. Town Hall. Now, this is Battersea again. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you this. Right, oh, that's fortuitous. So, okay, so here's Battersea Arts Centre. And I walk down the hill here so that you can see what I mean. Right. That's going up the hill. This is the location of Battersea Arts Centre. And then it goes down the hill. So Battersea Arts Centre is behind me. I'm just showing here where they've just put down all this silver quartz and they're all digging it all up again because they're having constant problems here. They've just literally recently dug all this up down here, all down the bottom of my road. At the bottom of this bit here, a river used to run. The river used to run all along here, and I think rivers and waterways and canals were part of this. I think we were a water world. I think we were probably more like Venice than anywhere else. And the event is what has made us sort of have to rethink everything about everything, or made them have to rethink it. They requisitioned these buildings. Some they turned into pumping stations. They may already have been pumping stations. Others they turned into town halls and theatres and things like that. Here it is. Here it is. You see it's up here, whereas Battersea Arts Centre would have been up there, and probably, you see it's on a hill, and when you walk south, you carry on going up. You feel like you're going north because you're going up, but you're actually going south. So they were having to pump things. I know what I'm trying to say. It was just an interim pumping station. They were probably everywhere. This is Crossness. This is another pumping station. Same sort of thing. And this is what they look like inside. But look at this. Look at this at the back. This architecture at the back is the telling stuff. It looks exactly like Crystal Palace Station. Look at these windows. They did not build this. Here it is. Abbey Mills. London has a natural north-south slope, so mostly the city's sewage flows downhill. Historically, there were a few places where it needed an extra lift, and one of these spots is Abbey Mills. There are other pumping stations in Chelsea and Thamesmead, but this is the only fully operational one now. So I think there were probably other pumping stations situated all over the place in strategic places to keep this water that they were pumping going. Keep going. Look at this on this Abbey Mills. Just look at this. This is not Victorian. Look at it. And this in here looks an awful lot like inside Battersea Arts Centre. If you took all this stuff out, it's like, you know, the arches, the roof, and it probably hasn't got a floor in it, so it's deeper. All this nice stuff. I mean, they do tours in this place, but it's expensive. The whole design is a fabulous mix of Italian, Venetian, French Gothic, Flemish and Byzantine. Yeah, I bet it is. Look at it. And there's that's how it looked, with these two humongous towers. Now, this to me looks like it's got some, they look like they've got ornate designs on, maybe like tiles, yeah? Is this a mosque? Is it a mosque? Was it a mosque? I don't know, man. This is what the towers look like now. They're huge. They're absolutely massive. They took them down. The huge bases of the chimneys are still visible in the grounds. Right, what else have I got here? Done that. This is... So I think the same thing happens with these other places. This is inside Crossness. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Hang on. It's mad, isn't it? I think we've done all them on here. Oh yeah, the Heathwall, Battersea's Lost River. So at the bottom of that road I showed you, where I walked down the hill, this was. Heathwall Street was one of the stopping points on the Battersea and Wandsworth Trades Union Council annual John Burns Walk. So it was Battersea's Lost River, the Heathwall, also known as Heathwall Sluice, which is buried underground running from the Falcon Brook, also underground through the Est Road and Falcon Park, Shaftesbury Park, Queen's Road. That's all here. This is Shaftesbury Park. My estate is the Shaftesbury Park estate. There's a Heathwall pumping station on the Thames at Tideway. It's little known about and is one of the many lost rivers of London. So then they talk about sewage and how John Bazelguette, our sewage hero, sorted it all out. sorted the lot out. Right, this is a report that I found. This is Urban Explorers, and they have done a really, really good search underground. I'm going to go to the other one because he's got a little bit of text there that is interesting. But there's a report linked on here to this. So they talk here about the main London drainage system, and they talked about how water has always played a large part in the life of the city, and it talks about how it got all really bad, and it's actually really interesting. But the interesting part to me is where they talk about how from the time of Henry VIII and before, and the 13th, 14th and 15th centuries, they were always very, very careful to make sure that things were kept clean and that people were in charge of their own mess. People were quite together, and then they talk about it developing. London developed and the outside areas developed. And because of this development, it's this word develop, but this is what was interesting to me. They said that this brief introduction gives the principal steps in the history of the drainage of London. It is now proposed to deal with them in more detail. For this purpose, it is proposed to divide the descriptive account into 5 periods as follows: London before the houses, early drainage work, the commission of sewers, period 1856 to 1888, the Metropolitan Board of Works, and then it goes London before the houses. The commissions of sewers was Henry VIII's. So there was London before the houses, and then London before the houses. So London before the houses, and then it talks about the ground that it's on and the streams that run west to east. It was all rivers. Principal streams taken from west to east on the north side of the Thames are Stamford Brook, Countess Creek, Ranelagh, Westbourne, King's Scholars Pond, Fleet, Walbrook, Shoreditch, Hackney Brook and Blackditch, the River Lee. It's just rivers, and then they would have had aqueducts, and they would have had canals. This is a water world. This is water. I've got some more. I'm going to look at Venice as well, because I've got some really, really nice photographs of Venice, and there's a brilliant video on YouTube as well, a modern contemporary video from now, because Venice is flooded, showing how it was built and how the islands developed. So that's brilliant. So I'm going to look at this now. Close Encounters of the Turd Kind. So these guys are going underground. So these were supposed to have been built by the Victorians, and the further we go underground, the more complex it gets. But he says a nice little bit here that I wanted to read here about Bazelguette. It says, contrary to layman assumption, Bazelguette did not mastermind an entire new drainage system for the metropolis. Rather, he worked with what was already in place. Approximately 2/3 of the Fleet sewer's underground length existed previous to the implementation of Bazelguette's improved scheme for London's drainage, and much of this pre-established infrastructure was retained and modified to tie in with the new system. Visionary though Bazelguette was, he was not the man who built the first London sewer, as I read attributed to him in an article recently. He was, in fact, not even the first person to propose an intercepting sewer system for London, but I digress. So, yeah, the information is out there, just for ordinary people. They just don't tell you anything. Look at it under here. This looks a little bit more modern. Now, then it gets like this. Look at this. Just look at this. It's just amazing. And it's pitch black in there. Look at this. This is just fascinating. See the wood here? So, I am absolutely convinced that we were a place more like Venice than we are now. And just to close with, I'm sorry it's so bitty. I'm sorry I'm being so bitty with this. I hope you get the sort of idea where I'm coming from with this. I think that Battersea Arts Centre and buildings like that were something to do with the shifting about of water. This is Islamic. This is Islamic architecture. They were the forerunners in hydro electricity and moving water about. And look at this, look. Absolutely, completely and utter vaulting. Islamic vaulting. There it is, that's the picture I found. Look at this. How much like under Crystal Palace does this look? It's just wonderful. Look at that. So yeah, Battersea Arts Centre. Was it something to do with shifting water about? And was the Shakespeare Theatre next to it also something to do with shifting water about? Because it was something before it was a town hall, and these town halls are just completely ridiculous, aren't they? I mean, nobody built those things then. Nobody was building these in the 1890s. They were already here. Maybe in use as I don't know. I just don't know what to think. There you go. Town halls.